Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FlexJobs Facebook Live today. My name is Brie Reynolds, and I am the Career Development Manager at FlexJobs. And we are going to give a little presentation today on how to change careers and work remotely, something that is on the tops of lots of people's minds for sure right now. As I said, this will go for about 30 minutes. I'm going to just have my camera up here for now so that you can see me for this intro, and then I'll turn it off because I realize it blocks half the screen that we're looking at, so it's kind of hard to see things. And then I'll bring it up at the end when we do Q&A with the audience. So today it's going to be a 30-minute presentation and Q&A. So I'll probably present for about 20 minutes or so and then leave the remainder to audience questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments area, and then I will be able to answer those as we go. And then I also have a colleague, Kelly Basil, who is helping me on the back side of things, and she's going to be sharing links and things that I'm talking about, as well as a PDF download of these slides so that you can take them with you and use them as you see fit. All right, so let me go ahead and lower my camera there so you can see the screen. So what we're going to be covering today are the key steps to choosing a new career, and that includes common remote career fields and industries, and resources for further exploration. So this is going to focus really on how to go about the process of changing careers, and then also what that looks like for remote jobs specifically. How can you change into a career that would allow you to work remotely? And let's see, a little bit about FlexJobs. So we are a job search service and we specialize in remote jobs. So that's why we're here talking today. We also have other types of flexibility on the site as well. So things like part-time, freelance, and flexible scheduling jobs. And we've helped almost 5 million job seekers since we were founded in 2007. So we've been at this for a while. We have a really good understanding of the remote job market. And also right now, in the last couple of months, because of the pandemic, we've been paying extra attention to the job market itself and seeing how things are evolving. So I've got some information in this presentation about that as well. And on our site, we are a membership site for job seekers. So many of you watching today might be FlexJobs members. Hello, welcome. If you're not yet a member, no pressure. We do have lots of free information on the site. The benefits of a FlexJobs membership are access to our full job listings, so the actual full job descriptions. And all of the jobs on our site are screened and vetted to weed out scams, commission-only jobs, advertising, business opportunities, so that really we have a core database of professional level, high quality, remote and flexible jobs to search through. But we do have a lot of free, really great public information on our site, so I definitely invite you to check that out as well. And this is my career coaching team. I'm the Career Development Manager, and I work with a great team of career coaches at FlexJobs who support FlexJobs members with all sorts of job search related advice and information. Okay, so let's dive into the topic at hand, the key steps to choosing a new career. I wanted to start with a little bit of a story today, a story of a client that I worked with previously. We'll call him Andrew. Andrew knew that he wanted to change careers. Like many of you, he felt disengaged at work. It was not making him happy. For some of you, you have been maybe laid off, or your hours have been reduced, or something drastic has changed recently in your career or your job that's kind of pushing you in this direction. And then for other people, this may have been in the back of your mind for a while, that changing careers is something that you wanted to do, whether you are currently working, you've recently worked, or maybe you've even been away from the workforce for a while. So Andrew was in the situation where he was working, and he just knew that work was not lighting him up in the way that he wanted to be lit. And he wanted to find something new that he could really be engaged in. That would be sort of his career for the next step in his life. Which this is very common with career changers. He was very distraught at dealing with the uncertainty of a career change, of figuring out what that next job or that next career would be. And so that uncertainty and that not being able to really sit with it and go through the process step by step was ultimately holding him back from choosing a new career and going in a different direction. So what we talked about, what Andrew and I discussed together, was needing to really go through this one step at a time. That's what I'm going to share with you today, are the steps that we recommend you take so that you can figure out what your career change needs to look like and which direction, which type of job or career you ultimately want to go towards. You really have to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. You have to focus on each step and try not to think too far down the road. And this was something that Andrew really worked on reining himself in and keeping himself in check. Every time his mind wandered 10 steps down the way, he had to remind himself, nope, we are focusing on step 1 or step 2. And really our career change system that we like to call it is 4 steps. So it's not like there are 10 steps actually. But you're just getting ahead of yourself. And this is such a natural human thing. We don't handle uncertainty well. We want to know what is next and what's going on. But that really stops us from actually doing the work of figuring out what the next step will be. So if you follow each individual step, you focus on that step one at a time, you will reach the end and you will have an answer. Excuse me. And so that's one of those things that you can tell yourself as we go through this process. I'm going to lay out what the 4 steps look like and what you can do after this presentation. But what you have to keep telling yourself is it is totally okay to not know the answers to the questions that I'm about to ask, to the steps that I'm about to show you, because you're going to start with step 1, and then you're going to go to step 2, and then step 3, and then step 4. If you follow the steps, you will reach the end point where you have an answer and you have a direction to go in. So with that being said, let's go on to step 1. So the first step in any career change is really getting to know your motivations. For some of you, this is going to be very clear, and for others, not so much. So some folks, you already have an idea of the direction you want to change your career into, and now you're looking at more of the concrete steps to making it happen. This is for folks who really are wondering which career or which type of job they should go into next. So a couple questions that you can ask yourself. And like I said, it's not necessarily that you need to be thinking about this right now. It's that this is homework for you to be doing down the road. So I know Kelly just shared at the beginning of the presentation the PDF slides download for this. So you can actually take these slides with you and print them out if you'd like and actually do this homework. But questions like, do you need a new career or just a new job? This is kind of a critical one because this really helps define the rest of your search. For some people, it's not actually the job. It's not actually the work. It's the environment that the job is happening in or the way the work needs to be done. It might be the people that you're working with, the company that you're working in. It could be the commute to work that's really the problem. For a lot of people, the job's just fine. The actual work they can do, they enjoy it, but the entire environment around that and what they have to go through to actually do the work is the problem. So you can figure that out for yourself. Is it really the job? Is it really your whole career, or is it just this one job? And if you found a new job that maybe let you work remotely or have more flexible hours or was in a different company, would that help? Other questions you can ask yourself. What do you want work to feel like? A lot of this really is about feelings. We have feelings about everything in our life. And when you're going to work, you might have positive feelings and you might have negative feelings. And if you have a series of negative feelings about work, you want to change that to be more positive. So what do you want work to feel like? Do you want it to feel exciting and dynamic? Do you want it to feel calm and predictable? This is a different answer for everyone. So get in touch with that sort of thing. Really think about what you want to feel like when you're going to work and what you want it to feel like when you are working. What do you want more of in your work or less of? You can flip it around and think of what you would like less of in your work. And then I know that everyone is probably here because you are interested in remote work. So I would say, why do you want to work remotely? And getting a good handle on this answer is a good idea because you may be asked about this by employers once you get to the application phase. Why do you want to work remotely? So think about this ahead of time. What is it that you're hoping to get out of remote work? And if you are the type of person, which this is super common, where you know what you don't want, you know what you no longer want to put up with at work and what you want to walk away from, but you're not quite sure what you do want, you can flip around what you don't want to figure out what you do. So these are a couple examples. For one, my job is boring and uninteresting. You know you don't want that. So flip it around. I want a job that I find interesting and exciting. These are positive statements. These are action-oriented statements. These are forward-thinking statements. So we're flipping from what you don't want to what you do want to help you move forward, move towards that thing that you want. My career field is highly inflexible. You could flip that to say, I need a job that lets me set my own hours. Getting specific about what it is about flexibility that you need. Is it the hours? Is it the location? Is it the amount of time overall that you're going to work every week? So flip around the things that you don't want to really try to find what you do want. Okay, step 2 is to make a list of possibilities. This is what I call the throwing spaghetti on the wall stage. This is where you get all the possibilities in a big pile and you don't rule anything out yet. It's like brainstorming. There are no bad ideas in this stage. There are just ideas. So for one, you can start to look at lists of jobs. When we're talking about right now in this time with things rapidly changing, and a lot of people, when you come to career change, you might be trying to leave a career that is shrinking, that is a career field that is shrinking. There aren't as many opportunities as there used to be. And it might be a good idea to target growing careers where there's going to be more and more opportunity in the coming years. So Career One Stop is a really good resource. And they have lists of the fastest growing career fields. I think they look usually over a 10-year period. So you can look at those lists to get some ideas. FlexJobs has lots of lists, but a couple that I wanted to point out were the 20 most popular work from home job titles. And I'll actually show you these in a little bit. These are the fields that have the most remote job openings. So you can see where remote jobs are really growing and high in demand. And then the 15 highest growth career fields during COVID. And so you can actually see during this time, where is the demand? So if you need to do a quick career change, that is really a thing you might want to look at. The other thing that you should definitely do are some assessments. So these are different types of skills tests, personality tests, and interest tests. And that PDF download has links to each of these that can help you figure out which jobs might be a good fit based on how you answer the assessments. And these can be a good idea just to get those ideas. Again, throw all of the things in a pile, all the ideas in a pile before you start to rule things out. When you have your pile of spaghetti, when your spaghetti is on the wall, you're going to start to look and see what sticks. So you are going to look at what do the jobs that you have considered have in common, and you are also going to rank them, essentially. You're going to start to figure out in this pile that you've created, what are the jobs you're most interested in that really make you interested and excited and you feel a connection to them. And also you feel like, hey, I could do that, maybe given a little bit of training or a little independent research on my own to figure out a few key things. I could probably do that job really well, and I think it would be a good fit. And if you can, in this last part of step 2, if you can try to get these down to your top 5 and then figure out what you like in each of them, that's a key step as well, just to really get a small group by the end of this that you're interested in. Okay, so step 3 is the research phase. So what you want to do is take those top ideas, might be 5 ideas, maybe it's 10 ideas. It's okay in step 2 if you haven't narrowed things down entirely, because the research phase is really going to help you do that. This is where you take those top ideas and you research each of them. You can do this in a lot of different ways, and this is also stuff you can do right at home. Even not being able to go out and meet with people, you are still able to do this type of research from your house. So this is a good time to be doing this because you don't have any excuse to go anywhere else. You can focus on this step. So one really easy way is to watch YouTube videos about the careers you're considering. So when you're on YouTube, you could search for something like a day in the life of, and then fill in the job titles. A day in the life of a marketing director, a day in the life of an accountant, a day in the life of an online tutor. Whatever your ideas are, you can usually find some videos about those things. There are other places that you can find information as well. So on Career One Stop, again, they have what's called occupational profiles. Now, Career One Stop is also part of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Department of Labor. So they bring this massive amount of research on occupations, and they have synthesized it and put together these really nice occupational profiles that can help you learn more about each career. You can search by keyword to find different jobs. So if you know you want to do teaching, but you're not necessarily tied to teacher roles, it could be tutoring, it could be curriculum development, it could be any host of different things, one-on-one, test prep, whatever it might be. You can use keywords to find different jobs related to that on Career One Stop's occupational profiles. I would also recommend starting to search on job boards. You can read job listings to learn more about what's required in each role. And on FlexJobs, even if you're not a member, you can read about every single job that we have posted on the site. The only difference is if you're not a member, you will see a short description. If you are a member, you will see the full description of the job. But if you're wondering if the career fields that you have chosen as your kind of top ideas, if they offer remote job opportunities, go on FlexJobs, search for those job titles and see what comes up. Search for those keywords and see what comes back. And if you start to see remote job listings coming up, then you know that there is remote opportunity in those areas. The next thing you can do, read LinkedIn profiles of people who have these jobs to see what they do, what they like about it, where they come from. So some people really use LinkedIn to its fullest and have great profiles. So if you're not one of those people, don't assume that everybody else is kind of like cursory on LinkedIn. There are some people who go all out on LinkedIn with information. So I would look around, and you can search for people on LinkedIn. You can search by those job titles and bring up people with different titles and read their LinkedIn profiles and see, how do they describe their job? It's their choice to describe their job in a certain way on LinkedIn. How do they describe it? What do they sound like? Do they sound happy? What do they write about is most interesting in their job? And where do they work? Take note of the companies that have hired people to do these jobs. This is a great piece of research. And then the other thing that you can do now, and you don't have to meet in person for these, are informational interviews. This is one of those things that career coaches recommend a lot, and yet very few people actually do it. And so we would love to hear some people doing some informational interviews. You can conduct these over the phone, on video chat, or maybe someday in the future, you can do them in person, or you can do a quick email interview with somebody. So you can make it really easy for people to respond. But essentially, these are really short meetings, maybe 10 to 30 minutes. And you're going to be asking these people what they do, what a typical day is like, and what they like and dislike about their job. A really easy way to start the informational interview process is to ask your friends and family if they know anyone who does XYZ job. So you've got your list of 5 or 10 job ideas, and you can ask, friends and family, hey, do you know anyone who does these jobs? If so, would you mind if I reached out to them? Would you mind giving me their email address? And you can actually reach out to them, start a conversation. And if they're willing to talk to you on the phone, I think that's a really nice idea, because you can ask specific questions. You get a sense of their personality. And if your personality is kind of a match for that sort of job, you just get a lot more information in a phone interview than you might on email. But if they're busy and they say, hey, I don't have time for that, you might say, could I just send you a couple quick questions about it? And I won't bother you anymore, and give them a really easy option to weigh in here. Okay, so once you've kind of done this, you've done your research, you're really going to start to feel what jobs you're attracted to and what jobs you are less attracted to. So even from your top 5 or top 10, you're probably going to narrow it down more at this point. That's the whole goal, is you're going to discover, I'm really continuing to gravitate towards these 3 types of jobs, and those 4 that I thought I might like, nope, I am not going to like those. So you're really starting to narrow it down. And as you can see, this is truly step by step. And so hopefully this really helps kind of keep you on track and keep reminding that part of your brain that just wants to get to the answer that you're going to get there eventually. You're doing the work and you're going to get that answer of which career to go towards. So the last step is to narrow your list of ideas. Once you've done your research, and you can start to do this while you're still researching. This does not have to wait until every single job you have researched completely thoroughly. You're going to start to evaluate just naturally. What you want to do is think of things like, does this job or career move you away from the things about work you disliked or no longer want to do? And does it move you towards what you do want to do, how you want to feel, what you want your days to be like? Do you have the education and background needed for this career? And if not, are you willing or able to invest the time and money to obtain it? Now, for some career transitions, you can do very little skills training. You can do very independent training, watch YouTube tutorials, take maybe a couple small online courses to help yourself pivot. For other career changes that are quite large, completely different career fields, you may need something more, something deeper than that. And for some people, this is going to be a multi-stage career change where maybe you make some small steps and career pivots instead of a full career jump, where you take some interim jobs that use the skills and the experience that you have, but get you a little bit closer to the next ultimate goal. So you have to really think about how you want this to be structured, how quickly you need to get into a job, that's the other thing, and go from there. So kind of see what the next steps will be for you. The other questions to ask are, does this career offer the flexible work arrangements that you need or you want? And are the salary prospects for this career suitable to you? And also, is it true? And I'm going to tell you a story about what that means in just a minute. And after all of this, the research, the narrowing your list of ideas, what does your gut say about this career? And which jobs then remain on your list? And you will have hopefully a list of 2, 3, maybe 4. I wouldn't go any further than about 4 totally different job ideas. And you might have to narrow it further from there. And that's the thing with these steps, is it's steps 1 through 4, but you can go back. You can say, okay, I've narrowed my list down to 4. let me go back to step 3 and do some more research on these to really narrow it down a bit more. So you can jump back a step 2 and do some more research to narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3 that you're really interested in. Okay, so time for another little bit of a story. This story is about Angela. She was another client that I worked with. She's in her mid-50s and she was struggling with her next career step. She had been doing a job for about 20 years that she could do very well. She was super competent. She was highly recognized, received multiple promotions, made it up to the VP level in it was financial services, in a large financial services firm. But she did not like the work at all. It did not bring her any kind of joy. It actually stressed her out to the point where she had a physical reaction that caused her to quit. She had a really bad health issue that was entirely related to the stress caused by her job. So she thought, I definitely need a career change. But she was struggling between this financial safety and freedom that she had with this previous career and what she's passionate about doing, which is writing, which is not quite the financial safety career field necessarily. But because of that, she was making a lot of assumptions that writing just simply would not work for her. She wouldn't be able to make herself feel financially protected and stable. But it was all assumptions about what she could make as a writer, how that would work for her. And she hadn't done any research to kind of prove herself right or wrong. And so I said, okay, let's not assume anything, because that whole adage about assume is correct. And so you have to put in the work and do the research. And what she realized, she did a deep dive into her budget and her finances and realized that she did not need as much money as she had been making. Her lifestyle had grown to consume the money that she had been making. But she thought, I'm so passionate about this next career field, I can actually shrink a lot of my lifestyle. And at this point, her kids were grown, they were out of the house. She was in a position to be able to do this. This wouldn't necessarily work for everybody, but she knew after doing research and figuring it out that she could make changes in her own life that would allow her to take a lower salary in a career field that she was absolutely passionate about and still maintain a lifestyle that she could be happy with. So the moral of this story is, don't make assumptions when you are doing this type of work. Make sure you do the research. In your research, you can also find salary information, find what typical schedules are like, and career advancement opportunities. Where does this career take you ultimately? How high could you go if you wanted to keep going? All of those sorts of things to really feel, not only is this a good job fit, but is it a good life fit? Is it a lifestyle fit? Okay, so the next question is, can your job ideas be done remotely? Once you've actually figured out what you might like to pursue, can they be done remotely? So I would recommend searching remote job ads for your job ideas. I talked about this a little for step 3, but you can search FlexJobs even if you're not a member. You can see if there are remote job listings. And I would consider searching by, I mentioned this a little bit, but soft skills or transferable skills. So if you are an excellent communicator, if you work really well independently, I apologize if you hear the motorcycle going by. This is the first day in Boston that we've really been able to have our windows open. So I'm having mine open even during the live presentation today. You should also consider searching by your personal attributes too. Sometimes they'll say we're looking for really enthusiastic, outgoing people, or serious, research-oriented people, or things like that. So you don't just limit yourself to job title searching. Search by your skills as well. And then also those hard skills that you do possess: programming, any digital apps or software that you know really well, any certifications that you have. You can search by those as well to come up with jobs and see if there are remote job listings. And you can also search other sites as well for remote jobs, but since we're FlexJobs, of course, I wanted to toss that one out there. Okay, this is the list, a couple lists that I was talking about before in terms of the top career fields and the top job titles for remote jobs. These are where we find most remote jobs are listed under in terms of career fields. And the ones in green we have found are particularly have a lot of listings right now, especially during the COVID crisis. And these are for remote jobs, so medical and health, but remote. Customer service, sales, computer and IT, education and training, and accounting and finance are kind of the larger fields for remote jobs right now. But overall, this list stays pretty consistent year over year in terms of where remote jobs are. So you can compare the job ideas that you have with a list like this to see, okay, if I really want to work remotely, is my job in this top 20 career fields? Now, this is out of 55 career fields that we track, all of which have remote jobs listed in them. So if you don't see your jobs here or your career fields here of choice, There are other career fields out there that definitely list remote jobs. This is just where the bulk of them happen to be. Okay, so a couple resources for further exploration, and then we will dive into the Q&A. This is very quick. So what I've been talking to you today about the 4 steps is actually a system that we have that you can look up and go through. It's an article that we've worked on. It's called the 4-step system to choose a new career or new career. And so that link is also something that you'll be able to find in the chat, and on the slide downloads, you will have this slide, of course. And this walks you through each of those steps. For the first 2 steps where you're asking yourselves a lot of questions, there are even more questions listed in this article to help yourself really think about this as you're going step by step. The next resource is this video. We did a video, this was a couple years now, on how to make a career change or transition. It's a lot of what I've talked about today, but it's an hour-long presentation, so it goes into a little bit more detail, and it might just help you think about this in a different way too. So I wanted to throw it out there in case it would be helpful. So the action steps that you can take today are really those 4 steps. And remember, these are things that you're going to be doing 1 step at a time. And don't worry, you're going to get to that end result. So you're going to focus on each step 1 at a time. Get to know your motivations, make a list of possibilities, research those possibilities, and then narrow your list of ideas. And it really does become, I wouldn't say simple, because making a career change is not a simple process, but it becomes a doable process when you go through it like this. Okay, so I know we have a lot of questions coming in. I'm just going to scroll back into the chat to see if I can find those. And I'll also bring up my camera again so that you can see the person who's talking to you. All right, so just scrolling through, what skills do you recommend learning in this time of uncertainty and possible job change? I would say, pertinent to this particular discussion, the skills that would be helpful for anybody on this call to learn are remote digital communication tools. So I talk to a lot of people who are coming to remote work for the first time. They've not worked this way before. And there are a lot of programs out there that remote teams and companies use that are unfamiliar to them. So I say, go out and learn them. You're already on Facebook Live, so you've got to be at least somewhat tech savvy to have made it this far. Every time we do one of these, I feel like I'm learning it all over again. So it's good to be learning new things. But you want to look at the communication tools and the programs that remote teams and companies are using. And if you're unfamiliar with any of them, learn them, because then you can put them on your resume. And those will apply to pretty much any job or career field in some way. So a couple examples, one of which is Google Drive. Google Drive is a Google program. It includes, if you have a Gmail account or a YouTube account already, then you probably have access to Google Drive. And it has things like Docs, Sheets, and Slides, which are Google's equivalent of Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and PowerPoint. It's all online. It's easy to collaborate with other people. You can share documents. You can work at the same time in a document or a spreadsheet or presentation. So that tool is used by a lot of different teams. Also, Zoom is another obviously very popular right now program, but in the long run for remote teams and companies, it's a very popular web conferencing program. And then Slack is the other one that I would, if you were going to focus on 3, I would say probably Google Drive, Zoom, and Slack, which is an online chat program. It does a lot of other really good stuff, but primarily people use it for online chat. Teams, remote teams, use these programs a lot to communicate and collaborate. So I would start there with those types of skills. It's going to really set you apart that you already know those, because a lot of people are flooding the remote job market right now, but not many of them know those types of programs. So if you know those and you can put those in a technology skills list on your resume, that really sets you apart from the rest of the pack. And they all have free versions, which is really helpful. So you can go get the free versions and practice with those. YouTube tutorials are really helpful for that as well. Good question. Let's see, there are many free job boards. Why would someone pay to join you? What's so special about FlexJobs? I'm glad you asked this. So FlexJobs, the thing that makes us really special is that we pre-screen every single job and company before it gets posted to our website. Most job boards don't do that, or they have a very cursory screening process, and they rely on the job seekers themselves to flag any jobs that look fishy or scammy or are really weird business opportunities or just inappropriate types of things. So on FlexJobs, before we post something, we weed out every scam, every ad, every business opportunity that's, a pyramid scheme basically. We rule out commission-only jobs and just really low-level jobs that aren't appropriate for more professional level people. So when you come to FlexJobs, you don't waste any time sifting through that sort of stuff, and instead you get a really clean database of professional level, high quality jobs, and it just makes it a lot faster and easier and safer to find remote jobs that are high quality that you actually want to apply for. And then we also offer lots of things: soft skills testing, technical skills testing. We offer a weekly Q&A with a career coach that you can attend live. We do webinars like this. We have a whole series of webinars going on and through the end of June on all sorts of different aspects of your job search. So we have downloadable guides. We have so much stuff. I could keep going. So we have lots of stuff that makes us special. Hopefully you'll check it out. And like I said, there's a ton of free stuff on the site too. So even if you're not a member, take advantage of that. Okay, I have been a member since December 2019 and will graduate in June 2020. Congratulations, almost. You're almost there. Looking forward to all the information I've gathered from FlexJobs. Oh, great, no question there, just a comment, excellent. Let's see. Would like additional comments regarding the assessments you spoke about. How can I do them? Is there guidance to doing them correctly? Okay, let me go back to that slide about assessments so we can have that in front of us. There we go. So with the assessments, these ones that I've linked to are through Career One Stop. They are free and open to the public. There are lots of other assessments out there like the Myers-Briggs, the Strong Interest Inventory, the Enneagram that you often have to pay for. You can find free versions of those, which are actually pretty good. But if you go to the official sites, you have to pay for those different assessments. These ones you don't have to pay for. So it's really nice. That's a good feature of those. And they're pretty quick. And there's no real right or wrong way to take them. It's very simple. It's in quiz form, and it'll just ask you questions like, would you rather do this or that? Do you prefer to work this way or that way? And you just answer honestly, and at the end of it, it comes up with a list of jobs that would be good for you. So that's really the only thing that I would say is answer them honestly when you're going through and really think about, there's no pressure, nobody's grading you on this. What is your real true answer to each question? And that will help you get to those jobs. All right, so I know we are coming to the end of the 30 minutes here. Somebody's asking, let's see, are there any additional comments? Okay, I just covered those in the assessments. Let me go back to the, whoops, I got rid of my slides altogether. Well, in any case, so what you can also do is go to the FlexJobs blog, and there are a whole list of the webinars that we have coming up. Those are also going to be open to the public. So we did this one this week on writing your resume for remote jobs, and there's a recording of that you can watch. And then coming up next week, we're going to talk about how to find remote jobs that fit you. It's going to be similar to this, but not focused so much on career change as focused on the actual search for remote jobs. So that'll be great. And then we're going to do cover letters, job interviewing, a whole slate of topics. So please go to the blog to find those links to those webinars. And then let's see, would you recommend taking a class through someone like General Assembly? So first of all, I've heard wonderful things about General Assembly. I've done a couple talks with them. I think they're a great organization. They help people train for technical jobs, things that require coding, programming skills, graphic design, web development, those sorts of things. I don't necessarily think that everyone has to take a class through them or that it would be a good idea for everyone. But if it matches the types of fields that you're transitioning into and you could really use that training, absolutely. It also helps because you meet other people, you get some networking opportunities. So it could be a good fit, but I would before you make the investment in a class or a course or something like that, just make sure that you've done your research and it really is necessary to your career change and it's going to help you in some way get through that career change and get that next job. Okay, so we went a little bit over today, but thank you all very much for being here. There we go, get a little centered. I hope that you are walking away with this feeling a little bit more focused and able to get through a career change and figure out what jobs you might like to pinpoint and then how to see if they're gonna be remote. And then find those remote job listings and you can go from there to get the job. So thank you all very much. Best of luck in your job search and I hope everybody stays safe and well and healthy. Thanks everyone, bye-bye.